Hi, my name is Ed Fortunato, and what I'm going to do tonight is give you a presentation on our cross-country flight for Aviation 327. Next slide. So I just kind of incrementally stepped through this. This is me, I'm the pilot. I'm a commercial instrument pilot, Black Hawk helicopter, about 1,100 hours, and I'm working on single engine. I've got about 200 hours in the fixed wing right now. I live in Washington, D.C., so I've got to have the special flight rules qualification. I'm an aerospace executive, so I live with aircraft. In good health, I've got a Class 2 physical that's current, and I follow the I am safe processes. The mission that we've got today is to fly 3 passengers, one at 130 pounds, one at 165, a small child, and 75 pounds of baggage. So total minus me is total with me is 605 pounds. Next slide. This is the aircraft. I'm going to fly a simple Cessna 172 with a G1000 cockpit. Not optimal for the flight that we're going to take with 600 plus pounds. But the aircraft is in good shape. I've done a logbook reconnaissance. It's qualified IFR and for day and night. It does not have oxygen, so we're limited on altitude. It does not have anti-ice or de-ice, so that's something to consider into the route planning and the mission planning. Right below ramp weight, I'm within the center of gravity limits. I mentioned our baggage. I've got a rate of climb that's above 500 feet per nautical miles, so I'm good for if I'm flying IFR, and I am filing this IFR. But because of the flight, I have to reduce this from 53 gallons down to 30 gallons. So that provides a significant constraint on how I do this flight. Next slide. As I mentioned, the special flight rules area around Washington, D.C. requires you to be certified, and I have that. So if you're flying within 60 nautical miles, you've got to have that qualification, so I'm good there. Next slide. So here's the trip I'm doing. I'm flying from Manassas, Virginia, out to Cincinnati, Kansas. This is the route of flight that I'm taking. I'm using a traditional departure procedure. And then I've got Victor Airways, and I've got some flight route VORs that we'll navigate through. But then I'm going to land at this airport because I need to get refueled, and then we'll continue on. Total nautical miles, 361, a little over 4 hours. So here are some of the decision points I have. The first one, and it's all predicated on fuel and weather. Before departing Manassas, I need to make a determination whether I'm go or no go. When I fly into Chuck Yeager Airfield, that'll be another go no go decision. That's my refuel point. And then of course you can get weather en route, particularly ATIS. I'm going to fly the altitude at 8,000 MSL, and you can kind of see the route of flight. It's basically due west, stays out of some restricted area, but I'm under positive control with ATC, so that's not really too much of a factor. Next slide. So I broke this down incrementally. So departing, it's the runway. Did my mission planning, so I know what my ground roll is. I'm able to clear a 50-foot obstacle with 1,800 feet. And I've got fuel burn. So I just start degrading, starting with 30 gallons. So I'm minus 1.4 for fuel burn for run up, 3 gallons to climb to 18,000 feet. And then you can kind of read through this. The highest point, and what I do for IFR flights is I also use the VFR sectional, and I just look at anything of terrain features or obstacles throughout the course. I am flying at 8,000 feet. The highest point's at 4,660, so I'm fine there. Since I am on Victor Air routes, the lowest MIA is 7,200 feet. Again, I'm at 8,000, so I'm fine there. I know where my obstacles are. I know what my fuel burn is. So when I fly to Yeager in Charleston, West Virginia, I will have about 10 gallons of fuel left. If all goes well with the winds and the burn rate that I'm using, which is very conservative. I'm estimating 10 gallons per hour when I'm really going to be burning around 8. Pre-flight planning at West Virginia is sufficient, 6,000 foot runway, ground roll of 1,000 feet, I'm fine. And then I've got 2 alternates. I've got an alternate to the southeast and I've got an alternate to the northwest. So just in case I've got weather flying into there. Next slide. So I'll get gas and and then I make the decision whether I'm going to continue to fly or not. So presuming the weather's good, I'm going to take off out of Jaeger. I've got my ground roll, climb, fuel burn. I go through the same process. I know what my altitude, my clearances are. Everything is good. I arrive at Cincinnati, Kentucky, which is Class B airspace. And again, 10,000 foot of runway, so clearly enough for a Cessna. And then I've got two alternates there as well. I've got one to the north, about 21 miles, and one to the south, and of course they both have instrument approaches. So the environment, everything works. I can make the mission work. I can make the whole flight work. Takeoff and landing, weather, alternates. I've got my fuel. I've got my spare. You know, what could go wrong? You could have some delays from ATC, especially in the Washington area. I've got a lot of pre-planned decision points, and the whole thing I'm looking to do along the route of flight is managing basically fuel and weather, because as we noted, the weather is getting worse as we fly there. That was part of the instructions. Overcast at 800 feet. So I can land there, but I already know I need alternates. Next slide. External pressures. So the scenario said that I'm contracted for hire. You know, if I do well, I could maybe get more business with this guy. I'm a single pilot. I would not do this mission. If the boss came to me or an opportunity came and said, fly these people into this airfield, I would not do it. It's just not something that I feel comfortable with, even with all the hours I have. I think the weather, flying at night, is just not something that a single pilot, it doesn't put me on the right side of the safety curve for me. So manage that expectations. Pre-flight planning is very, very important. I've done all that. Flight plan in detail. I'm current qualified. Go through the aircraft. Just met all of its inspections, ADs. External pressures are mitigated. My two references for the aviation requirement. So the bottom line is, I can make this flight work. It can be done safely. I would rather do it with a second pilot, then there would be no issue. But single pilot at night flying into weather, I wouldn't do it. That's the conclusion of my presentation. Thank you.